Hey, what's going on? Welcome back. Today is a quick video where I wanted to review the Camlink 4K against the cheap little HDMI capture card that I've had for about a year. And honestly, there's not a lot for me to say. I'll tell you all I know from testing the Camlink 4K for a week about. And then at the end, there is something that I cannot figure out, which is very weird regarding the OBS settings for the Camlink. But we'll just get into it and I'll make this one pretty quick. Okay, the Camlink versus the cheap capture card that I purchased on Amazon. Obviously, the first distinction is the price. The Camlink I just bought for $112. I think it's $129 regularly, so $129 for the Elgato brand capture card. This I bought on Amazon. I think it was like $20 or $30, and you could find these all over. So for a beginner, if you don't want to spend $130, you spend $20, $30, $40 for this. You know, you might only be able to afford this right now. So the price goes to the cheapo card. Second thing is build quality, and this is actually pretty funny. The Elgato and the cheapo one both have the USB tips. Obviously, what they're made of is metal, but the body of the cheap capture card feels like it's made out of aluminum. Like, it's definitely made out of metal. Unless it's like really good hard plastic, but it really does feel like aluminum. The Elgato 4K capture card, this is 100% plastic. And this is way lighter than the cheapo one. I mean, they're not like 20 pounds each, but you could tell that this is a lighter capture card. So the build quality actually goes to the cheap capture card as well. As you can see, Elgato's is a little bit taller, and they're both pretty much the same width. So they both will take up a USB port. So mine has 3 USB ports in a row, and when I plug these in, you can't fit anything into the USB port right next to it. But this capture card doesn't come with anything. You just get the card. The Elgato capture card comes with a USB extender. So you plug the extender into the USB piece, and then it extends in, and then you plug the extension into your computer so it frees up that other port. So that is a plus for the Elgato Camlink. But if you wanted to, you could also buy an extender for this one, but you'd have to buy it separately. So I give the win there to the Elgato. The other thing is just testing and using it. And this kind of blew me away. I connected my Sony a7 III to OBS, and I literally checked almost every setting. I went through all the frames per second. I went 4K, I went HD. I looked on Google. I personally, to my untrained beginner eye, I could not see the difference in quality streaming or using my Sony as a webcam in OBS. So the quality was pretty much the same, like I said, from my eyes. I couldn't really tell the difference. The only difference I think was in 4K, and it's really hard to stream in 4K anyway. I tested it with YouTube, and you can do it with the Camlink. I was able to actually get it launched into YouTube, but the delay was super choppy. If anyone sees this that has really good trained eyes when it comes to video and streaming, I would love to hear your thoughts. I'm actually going to try to search some videos on my own, but since my videos are for beginners, I honestly could not find any quality difference between the two. But there was one huge difference in the settings. And again, I went through all of my OBS settings. I went through all of my camera settings to try to figure this out. And I'm going to have to go to OBS over here. Now that we're in OBS, I'm going to test the Camlink first. So you see my sources. I'm going to connect the Camlink, and then I'm going to show you what I mean. And then I will connect the cheap capture card and show you the difference. So let's get this Camlink connected. What we want to do is plug the USB portion into the computer. So I'll do that right now. And then the HDMI into the Camlink, so we'll do that. All right, okay. So right now, my Sony is set to 1080p, 30 frames per second. So that's what I would want to use it in OBS. So we'll add a video capture device. We'll just call it 4K capture card. Hit OK. And now what do I want to use? I want to use the cam link. So as you can see, the video shows up. That's me right here. The preset presets it to 720p, but I don't want that. You typically just click on here and you go to 1080, and then this is just your preset. But if I uncheck preset, I could then set my resolution. Now, right now, I only get one option. That is 1080p. That's fine. Now I want to choose my frames per second. It only gives me 59.94. And I click OK. Now I have to use my Sony a7 III at HD 1080p, but 60 frames per second. So now I just have to go into the camera and change the shutter speed and then change the frame rate in the settings to 60, and then it matches up. That doesn't make sense to me. So now I'll show you when I put the cheap capture card in. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to delete this capture card. I'll delete that. I'll take out the cam link. And now I'll put in the cheap capture card. Get this in there. Connect the HDMI cable. Don't want to break anything. Okay. Now I have the cheap capture card connected to my Sony a7 III. I'll do the same exact thing. I'll add a video capture device. We'll call this cheapo card. Hit OK. Now, I know mine is USB video. That's just what it's called. So I'll click on that. Now again, you see my video. Again, preset to 720, but I could choose 1080 if I wanted to. But if I uncheck preset and I want 1080 resolution, now watch how many frames per second. I have all these options. I have no idea why in this cheap capture card, it gives me all of these options. Now I'll choose 30 because that's what I already have my camera set to. And right now it's perfect. But if I wanted to, I could change the camera to 60 frames per second. And I could also change the camera frames per second in OBS to 60. I cannot do that with the Camlink 4K. I don't get it. For $130, you would think it'd have more options, and I've literally checked everything, and I honestly can't tell. So let me just delete this again, because I want to unplug it. If you could tell me why this expensive capture card only shoots 1080p 60, and this has like 15 options in OBS, I would love to know. That is my little comparison. Simple, straight to the point. Obviously, you would think the Camlink is better because it is more expensive. And like I said, it probably is better. In the long term, this probably will last longer than this one. The cheap one might break, who knows. The Camlink is more expensive. The Camlink is lighter. They both take up about the same space. But when it came to quality, like I said, I recorded with it in OBS. I streamed with it to YouTube from OBS. I could not find a quality difference. With all that being said, if you're a beginner and you have a very limited budget, if you're not sure you want to do this, then just go on Amazon and spend the $20, $30, $40 for the cheap capture card. If you plan on investing, then I would say probably purchase the Camlink 4K capture card for $130. Like I always say, I have this now, and I have the HD 60s Plus for when I stream my Switch. It's perfect for that. I've never had a problem, no lag or anything. It just so happens that for maybe this particular camera, it doesn't make that much of a difference. Maybe the Sony a7 III doesn't have the settings for it, but again, I don't know why the cheap capture card has more options than my Camlink. So after all of that, my suggestion to you as a beginner, to save money, just hit up Amazon and buy the cheap one. And if you have the extra funds, then get the Elgato, but that's both of them. Let me know your thoughts and questions in the comments below. What do you want to see? If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And hopefully I'll see you all on the next video. Peace, guys.